Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome into the Graham McLean podcast presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Graham McLean, and made possible by Jacob Shula taking a nap at this time. Hello, Eric McLean.
Big shout out to Jacob. Jake the Snake taking a nap. Love that kid. It's amazing. It's amazing. I am here in Syracuse, New York. If you see this background, you're like, well, that looks like a place we haven't seen before. It's because you haven't. And excited we're continuing to run down this summer tour. And ironically enough, we'll actually be at Duke next week. So after, as you guys hear this, a week from then, I'll be at Duke. So I can't wait. I'm super excited and to see the Blue Devils with Syracuse today. And this tour, it keeps rolling, KG. We keep going nonstop.
It keeps rolling, that's for sure. And I will say my entire family was here last week visiting the baby, and we watched the full Clemson episode on ACC Network, and it was so good. You guys did a really, really good job with that. The interview with Dabo was great. I know this is a Duke episode, and my whole point is to promote the Duke show that you guys will be doing next week. But make sure that you all are tuning in to these ACC and road shows, because it's just the kind of coverage you can't get anywhere else except on Graham McLean, Eric McLean.
That's right, KG. And actually, kind of peel back the curtain, I'm going to do a really fun interview with our guest today, Graham Barton, who is on our show. I will be doing another interview with him when I'm at Duke, and you're going to hear probably a lot of the same stuff, but he was excellent today. We're covering Duke. Today is all about the Blue Devils, and we sat down with Graham and really just talked about a bunch of things. Draft stock being the last one. I kind of wanted to see how he would handle that, KG, and I thought he handled it perfectly. Everybody you talk to on this Duke Blue Devil team, it's all about the team. It's all about winning. It's all about how can I help these guys. So let's get to that interview. A quick message from our friends over at Ingles, and then we'll hear from Graham.
At Ingles, we're proud to work with hundreds of local farms and businesses in the communities we call home. Not only does it ensure that you get top-quality, fresh items for your family table, it's a way for us to support the amazing individuals who pour their heart and soul into delivering the very best they can do. Quality, freshness, community, it's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Graham, welcome to the interview, man. I do want to shed some light for the people at home watching this right now. It took pretty much an act of God to get this going. And big shout out to Kat and company for making it. And thank you, brother, for joining us and being here today.
Yeah, no problem. Always good to start the day with a little adversity.
That's right. So. Make it happen any way you can. Well, man, it's summertime, and you know the season's about to crank up. We're literally days away from fall camp. So did you do anything fun? Do you have any fun activities going on this summer?
Played a lot of football.
Yes, like that. Sure.
Worked out a lot. So I'm a public policy major here at Duke. So we have an internship requirement. So I satisfied that this summer. I interned in the senator's office in Raleigh.
Come on, big dog.
Yeah. So got some experience there. Had a good time. Met some awesome people. I took 2 classes, and so I was pretty busy summer. Had to get a lot done, but we're kind of through it now and getting ready to zone in for camp. So.
Graham, that's a good transition to my question here, and it's just kind of what you love about Duke. I mean, you're talking about your major. Obviously, academics matter to you. You could have gone pro, but you wanted to stay another year. So just tell me why. That's my baby, by the way. He's under the desk. Just tell me why Duke is such a good fit for you.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The academics is awesome. You can go on forever about the academics, and obviously it's a part of why I'm here. It's a special education, and you get to meet a lot of great people. But I think when people ask me that question, as I've gotten older, and as I kind of reflect on my time, the biggest reason that I'm here and, why I love being here is just the people that I've been surrounded with from day one. Whether it was our old staff and Coach Cutcliffe to now with Coach Elko and this whole staff, it's just I've, been so fortunate to meet and, be coached by and, play with so many awesome people and, in the classroom and on campus and in the facility. It's just the people that are drawn to Duke are elite people. And I think, and just, they're awesome to get to know. And I'm so fortunate to, be able to be here for this time and have these relationships for the rest of my life.
Yeah, no question, man. I know how special that is, and it's
Yeah.
a 40-year plan, right? It's not just a 4 or 5 year plan. As we were setting up and trying to make this happen, I did notice that you were wearing a whoop there. So is your whoop as elite as the people at Duke? Is the recovery, the sleep time, all that, are we doing good?
I'm doing pretty good right now. I'm on like a 4-day green streak, which is good, you know. So I'm doing well, you know. It's nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't check it on Saturday, like wake up, you know, 'cause I don't want to have a red recovery, and
that's right.
Know, I don't
throw your whole Saturday off.
Yeah, I don't even check it on game day or anything like that. But it's fun. We got like 8 guys probably on the team who have one, so we've got like the community going, and you know, you're always checking and seeing seeing who's sleeping the most, or
that's right.
Who's
all in, man? Who's cheating? Who's all in? Whatever. You know, it's funny. I hate like having. It was like a struggle for me to wear my wedding ring. Like I hate having stuff on my fingers, my wrists. I have one, and I did pretty good for it. And then I was like, I got to take this off. I'm tired of wearing this thing. So I need to get back in the rhythm, because that data. I mean, it's fun. It's fun to see and get after it. Get after it.
I enjoy it.
Let's move on to the field, man, because we do have a bunch to talk with you about. It's funny, man. You know, I was talking to your teammates at ACC Media Day. I was listening to some radio today, and, you know, they're going through their deal about what they think about Duke on the radio. And, you know, they say these guys are going to finish 11th. And I almost wrecked my car. I almost drove off the road. And I'm just like, what are we talking about? But that's kind of a little bit of an outside narrative. And I'm just like, what do people think? I get the schedule's hard. I really do. But you guys have so many people back, the coaching staff and what they've implemented, the quarterback, my goodness. So just, I guess, overall thoughts on the season, man, because that blew my mind. When I hear that, I promise you, I almost flew off the road. It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, you know, it makes me smile to know that they're still saying that, because coming into last year, like, you know, we didn't need motivation. It was like they're going to be awful.
That's right.
Yeah, they're going to be awful. 3 wins max, you know, all this, all that. And so, you know, it's good to hear that, you know, we're still supposed to suck. You know, we're still predicted to be bad, because, like, that's what, you know, has fueled this team so well. And
that's right.
And so, like, it brings joy to my heart to hear that we're still, you know, the underdog, because that's what this culture, you know, was built on, was being the underdog. And so I think to have that is awesome, because, you know, we do have a great team, and we've got, you know, a lot of returning players, and we've got a good core. And you're right, and we've got a great staff, and so, you know, the recipe is right, and so it's good to hear we're still the underdog. I'll probably try to find some of that, maybe send it.
I'll find it for you. I'll get it to you.
Yeah, some guys later. But yeah, you know, we're excited for this year. Like I said, we enjoy being the underdog, but we know that, you know, we've obviously improved, you know, since 2021, and to go through that 9-win season last year. Now it's, you know, we've got to build on that now. You know, we're not starting at the baseline. We put together a good year, and to build on that, you know, we got to make sure that the locker room doesn't, you know, find itself in complacency. And I think we've done a great job pushing that narrative. And so I'm excited. You know, we got a great opportunity week 1. You know, Clemson's a great program. It'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm just excited to see where the season takes us.
Mac, I got it. You keep going.
We'll do it. We'll do it.
I had him napping, Graham. I'm so sorry. I want to sit here and listen, so I'm just going to be locked in, but Mac's going to take the rest, okay? Thank you so much.
Don't worry about it.
That'll be perfect. Hey, that's what you get to look forward to, man. Down the road.
Yeah.
So when you look at this team, man, and, you know, you mentioned all those players, I mean, Riley is such a big reason to be excited, right? I mean, the things that he was able to do last year, and even, man, to be – you know, in a quarterback competition, right? Like when I remember coming to Duke for our ACC road trip, and we didn't know who the guy was going to be, allegedly. And then, you know, we're seeing him practice, and I'm like, man, this guy looks different. You know, he looks like he really can control this offense. And then the season happens, and he just goes nuts. So what did, I guess, you see from him last year as the season went in, and he really became the guy and got more comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be here, you know, through Riley's whole career from when he stepped foot. So you just see, you know, the maturation of Riley. It's pretty awesome. Just the way he, you know, controls a huddle now compared to when he first got here, you know, and just seeing him, you know, win that starting job and grow into that role has been awesome. You know, he's perfect for our team. He's a great leader. He on and off the field. But yeah, just to see his confidence grow on the field, I think everyone's been able to see that. But to see it firsthand was really cool, and there's no one we'd rather have out there catching the snaps. So
no question. And so one thing that was interesting, I was talking to him again at ACC Media Day and just said, what's been the biggest difference for you, and growing and what things were you working on and in this offseason to take another step? And, I thought it was going to be like footwork or fundamentals and throwing, like all these different things that obviously you work on regardless. But, he said the biggest adjustment or things that he was working on was just his leadership and that it's his team now. For a full offseason, he's QB1. He's the guy and, just really pushing it to another level. So I guess what growth have you seen from him, being around him every day and in workouts in preseason, going into this fall camp?
Yeah. Well, Riley's gotten a ton of attention this year, and rightfully so. He had a great year. But the coolest part about it is you haven't seen him change. He's still the level-headed elite worker, great leader, detail-oriented. And that's what you want, right? As you see, and so like as he's making this climb to the top, he's consistent. He's got the same habits. So I mean, I would love to say that, Riley's transformed from this, nothing to, what he is now. But Riley's been the same way behind the scenes, since he stepped foot here. And it's awesome to see that, despite, all the attention he's getting and how well he's playing, that he's still that same guy and presence in the locker room.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. I know that's what it takes, to be elite and to be great. And that's great to hear that. Because, I think a lot of, the stuff that we're talking about and things we think what this year's going to look like, obviously it starts with him and finishes with you guys up front. So how about the run game, man? I kind of I'm going to talk about everybody else and then hone in on you because I know as offensive line, that's what we like to do anyway, is talk about everybody else. You guys could run the ball on anybody. I mean, last year it was really impressive, to see. Is that an attitude thing for you personally? Why were you guys so effective running the football last year?
Yeah, many reasons. Running the football, it takes all 11 guys, right? And there was so much buy-in in the run game. Like you can turn on the tape in any game and you'll see the receivers, blocking their butts off. Like that was an identity that not just as an offensive line, but as a team, we just kind of said, hey, we're going to be physical. And, a big part of that's being able to run the ball. So like you said, the O-line, we kind of coined ourselves, is we're going to be gritty. We're going to, no, I don't care what we're running into, a loaded box. Like we're going to get downhill and we're going to open up some lanes. And I think that the way we kind of bought into that, you see the receivers start to, come along. And I just think it was an identity we set early last year in August. And that just, thank God we did because, we stuck with it through the season and we had a lot of success. We got a bunch of great backs back there, and they're all returning. And then, not to mention, Riley Leonard's got pretty good legs too. Right. So we that's just where we found success. And I've got to mention, just our coaching staff and Coach Johns and Coach Cushing, just the way they're able to get us into matchups, that typically favor us, and just it was total buy-in from everywhere, from the outside receiver to the offensive line to the coaching staff. Like, hey, we're gonna run the football, we're gonna be physical. And I think it's an identity we stuck with, whether it was we were struggling that game or having a good game, it's like you've got to stick to your identity and stick to your guns. And I think it brought us a lot of success last year.
No question about it. How about just from the running back room? I mean, you had so many guys, like you mentioned, I think it was 3 different running backs, and then Riley, for going over 400 yards, 500 yards, and to have a stable like that is amazing. Do you think it'll be more of the same? Do you expect more of the same, or has maybe someone separated and maybe we see more of a, kind of a bell cow guy that becomes, like a true running back one?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell. It's early, we haven't started camp yet, but I'd imagine, obviously I can't speak for the decision.
Sure. That's right.
But I mean, the truth is, like you said, we've got 3 great returning experience. I mean, we've got more, but 3 who have a substantial experience, and including Riley. And I just don't see a situation where, those guys aren't all on the field. They're all great. They're all talented. They're they're all great leaders, and to have, those three guys coming back is important to our team and important to, if we want to have any success this year. So I think being able to play three different guys at such a physical position is super beneficial. So I think, no matter how the depth chart plays out, we'll see them all this year, and we'll see them all having a big impact.
And I think that just, it helps you guys mentally because, whoever's back there, I mean, there's no drop off. I mean, the guys are
good to go.
They're loving their opportunity and making the most of it. Everybody that goes. Receiving court, again, this team just has so many guys back. Everywhere you look, you get really excited about the depth, the talent, the production, and everything that's there. So talented. And it's a great mix of young and old guys that, some are back for their, fifth, sixth year. Some guys are in their second year being a wide receiver for full time in Jordan Moore. So I guess just the unit as itself, and I know, we have our positions and you're not in that room every day or anything like that, but who's the leader of that group, in your opinion, and maybe a guy that is going to continue to step up and really be the alpha for the wide receivers?
Yeah. I think, first one obviously comes to mind is Jalen Calhoun. Just, most experience in that room, been playing since he was a true freshman. And he's only gotten faster and stronger each offseason. So to see him be able to kind of improve on that trajectory is awesome. So, always excited to see him come out there and kind of lead the way. But I like you said, we've got a good mix of young and old guys who have great experience. So I think, it's a collaborative effort in that wide receiver room. And so, we trust those guys. And I know Riley loves those guys a lot. He does pretty well for them. So, I think, like I said, it's a collaborative effort with, Calhoun kind of being the top dog there, just, being there so long. And I know our coaches, rely on him a lot to kind of lead that room and, get those young guys, going the right direction.
100%. I mean, he was a guy that I remember going, to y'all's camp, I guess 4 years ago, whenever he was a freshman. And, I'm looking at him like, what the heck? This guy's different. Yeah. I mean, he's so twitchy, so explosive. And certainly, I mean, the roster that you guys have now is night and day different from then. Mm-hmm. But he just stood out. I mean, you just knew that was a dude. And to see him, like you said, get better and better each and every season, I'm excited for this encore and the things that he's going to be able to do in, his final year here at Duke. Before I jump into you, man, I want to talk about your head coach and Mike Elko because, man, it was nuts to see the turnaround and just how quickly, even you talking about last year, people don't think we're winning 3 games. I mean, just the, the mindset going in, can these guys win an ACC game? And yeah, we're going to win 9 games and we're going to look really good doing it. How was the transition with him coming in? Was it like a instant attitude change? Because quite frankly, you guys looked like a completely different team. And that wasn't really the case. It's not like there was this mass exodus overhaul of roster. It was a lot of the same guys, but the attitude, the way you played, everything just looked different last year.
Yeah. I mean, as you see in college football every year, it's not often that you see a first-year head coach have the success that he did, especially, coming off a 3-9 year. But I just think from the top down, he made the right decisions. It's starting with like hiring position coaches and strength staff. Like he nailed it, with, Coach Feely, coming in January and just setting the tone like, hey, we're going to be stronger, we're going to be faster, and we're going to work our butts off, and it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be fun, but, on Saturday evening, you'll be happy, when that you put the work in and committed like this. And I think, just that starting there, that kind of started to develop just this fresh sense of confidence. Like, hey, if you can, get through these off-season programs that with such difficulty, if you can get through this, like, why can't you go out there on Saturday and win? And so I think just we slowly built confidence throughout the off season. And just, with talking about the rest of the staff and then, we in spring ball, just getting in the system and being able to, kind of get ready for the year. And then as we get closer, just kind of, like I said, just continue to build confidence. And I think by the time we got to week 1, we felt like a winning football team. Just getting the right things done in the off season, and Coach Elko had a plan, and he executed it, to perfection. He everything he said he wanted to do, he did. Everything he told us we were going to do, we did. And I just think to be able to follow a plan like that, find success doing it, it builds, just confidence in a locker room, and builds confidence for us, like, and trust in our staff that, hey, they know what they're doing. And so I think that's kind of, how we ended up where we did last season. And, I just expect that to keep building.
That's right. I mean, it was so impressive to see just again, the total mind shift change, and you could see it in the play, how physical you guys were. And it's just a great thing to see that. All right, this is where it's going to get a little uncomfortable. And I know you don't like to do this. Nobody does, but you're an excellent player, man. And it's been so fun to watch you and watch you grow and develop from, your sophomore year or redshirt freshman year, whatever it is, where you had to play center, in an emergency situation, now to being, one of the most sought after prospects, in the upcoming NFL draft, which I know it's hard to push that away and to think about that. But also at the same time, I hope you realize the opportunity that you do have and to make generational life-changing money for yourself. So, kind of with that, I don't know if I want to call it pressure, but that's what it is. At the end of the day, for you to perform and, how much I think you can grow and rise up these boards. What is that like? I mean, do your parents look at it? Do your friends look at it? Are you getting texts and tweets sent to you, all kinds of different things? Or how have you been managing kind of, I guess, this expectation, external pressure about what could be?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. As things come out on social media and the press gets involved and, your name gets out there, things change, right? People read and people go on their phones and see things. And so obviously, my life's a little different going into this year than it was last year. And I've got, I've got expectations. But, like I say, it's just the way to manage those expectations is just stay true to, who I am and who I was before this. And that's just a hard worker, pay attention to details, and do what I have to do to, find success, and that stuff will come, and just try not to pay too much attention to outside noise. Cause, people, like, it's a cliche saying, but you're never too high, you're never too low. Well, you can get all the preseason hype in the world, but if I go out there and have a bad game, that can change pretty quickly. And and the text can change pretty quickly.
Yeah, real fast.
And the social media posts can change pretty quickly. So I think just trying to stay level-headed, not try to put expectations on myself but just to play the game how I know how to play the game, improve where, I want to improve this year, and just focus on, the football side of it, and try to kind of block out some of that outside noise. Cause it's not loyal to you.
Sure.
And so
100%.
And so, I'd be lying if you can't completely ignore it, and you're going to hear things and stuff, but just trying to, my daily mindset, just trying to, stick to the process, and I set out, things I wanted to improve on, and just try to, stay to those things no matter who says what, or, and et cetera. So
that's right, man. That's awesome. If we were, an NFL GM or scout or whatever, why would they take you in the first round? Why would a team, make that investment in you? What do you think you're elite or different, than anybody else in the country?
Yeah. For a couple of reasons. I think, first and foremost, I think I play the game, like I love the game. I think you can see that I love football on film. I play through the whistle. I play physical. I play nasty, and like I leave everything out there, right? I empty the tank, and I think that's clear to see, if you were to watch my game. I think, the big knock, is the short arm tackles, and you kind of heard that this year with some of the guys, and he's too short to play this and too short to play that. But I think I play long. I think I outplay my frame, and I think those, and then my athleticism. I think I've got, the best feet in the country, and I think I'm athletic.
I love it.
I think I'm athletic, and I think that'll kind of show through, and I think that's how I win blocks, right? Is I'm quick off the ball. I've got good feet. I can match these edge defenders, and I think coming into this year, if I'm able to show that I can do that at a more consistent level than I did last year, I think the sky's the limit for myself. But just like I said, I think I'm a great athlete. I play to the whistle. I play nasty. I won't stray from my identity. So
you got me fired up over here, bro. I'm excited. I can't wait to see it. Before I let you go, though, I do have to ask, because you're a Nashville guy, you're a Tennessee guy. What's the playlist pregame, man? Is it a bunch of country music? What's your top artists? Hit me up with what we're looking at there. Someone
asked me this the other day.
Good. So you got an answer ready for me.
Yeah. Well, but I really don't, because I switch it up. I'll listen to country, before some games. Sometimes I'll listen to classic rock before some games. Or, it just depends. I don't I would love to say I've got a set playlist. I listen to these 6 songs, but I just don't. If I want to listen to some classic rock before the game, I'll put that on the bus. Or sometimes it's hip hop or rap, or it just depends. I don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason, but sometimes I'm like, I just want to listen to some country music and zone out for a little bit.
So it's Monday night. The Tigers are coming to town. What are you listening to?
We'll have to see. I don't know. I'll probably, I don't know. Probably something pretty upbeat and up tempo.
You got to get ready. You got to get going.
Week, it's you haven't played football in so long, and you've gone through camp, and you're going against the same, couple defensive ends, D tackles, the whole for a month. So
tired of seeing that blue, man.
Pretty juiced up for week 1. So we'll see.
No question. Well, man, we can't wait to see it this year. Greatly appreciate you and your time, and excited to see you dominate, my man.
Thanks again to Graham Barton for joining us here on the program. He was absolutely excellent. A Duke man, you can definitely tell, and he's going to have a very bright future in the National Football League. Before we get to Duke, Mac, just tell me where you have Graham Barton overall in your offensive line power rankings, if you will, in the ACC, and how good can he be this year?
Yeah, what's interesting, KG, is I have such a love affair with my guys, right? Like, it's hard to when you put them against each other, it's hard to stack them up. I think right now he's probably number 2, but I think that he might be able to climb a little bit higher than my guy Christian Mahogany over at BC, just because he's a tackle and has played all 3 positions. I don't think Christian can slide out to tackle. I think he can play any on the interior, but Graham has played center in a game. Right, like his true freshman year, he had to snap the ball and did it for a handful of games. He's a surefire left tackle that I think, really, if you heard what he said, if he just kind of works on the strength, and I'm sure he did that all offseason, getting bigger, stronger there, I think he can jump into the teens and be a guy that really, again, just jumps off the page at people.
We're talking first round, people.
Oh, yeah, for sure, first round. Barring injury, I think he's a lock. People are going to see the footwork, how silky smooth he is. That game 1, against Clemson Monday night is going to be huge. I mean, he is going to be going against an NFL caliber defense. How does he handle stunts? How does he handle the personnel? That pretty much will be the only tape you need to watch to lock it in if he's going to be in kind of the teens or not.
That's a great point. And I think a lot of NFL scouts will be tuned into that tape. Now, let's talk about these Duke Blue Devils, because obviously they're opening with Clemson, which is a huge deal, Labor Day night, the only game on. So Duke can, first of all, if they win that game, it would be massive. But even just playing well in that game, keeping it close would be huge for their reputation. I think could vault them at some point into the top 25 if they continue to win beyond that game. But you mentioned the Clemson game. Mac, this schedule is pretty tough. We'll get to that. It's not just Clemson for this team. They've got some games on this schedule. They were picked to finish tied for 6th in the preseason poll. And let's just start with this offense. We did see Eli Pancol is hurt, which is unfortunate. He's going to miss some significant time. But this wide receiver room is loaded, and Riley Leonard is back. He is the real deal, Mac. What kind of step can Riley Leonard take this year?
Yeah, that's what I'm excited to see, KG. I mean, all those things that you just mentioned about schedule and 6 isn't terrible. You probably think that they would be picked a little bit higher, especially who's in front of them. But I think 6 is fine, for a baseline. But this offense, I have big expectations for. I mean, you look, led by Riley, a guy who just exploded onto the scene last year, running the football, passing the football. I mean, he had 3,000 yards passing, 20 TDs, 700 yards rushing, and 13 TDs running it. I mean, that's just Mr.
People
Do-It-All.
Forget about his rushing ability.
Oh, yeah. I mean, freaky. And he had a couple of 50, 60-yard runs in there, too. It's not just like ground and pound. This guy is an absolute weapon. So you expect to see a jump, right? You expect to see more of an understanding of the offense. And funny enough, I got to kind of talk to Riley off camera. I won't say off the record, but off camera, and just ask him, what was your biggest growth this offseason? What was the biggest change for you? And he said, honestly, I was expecting him to say something on the field, footwork, mechanics, something of that nature. And he said, honestly, just the leadership role that I was in, because if you remember going into last season, there was a quarterback competition. They were battling out. They didn't know who the guy was. And even if that might not quite be true from a coaching perspective, it's 100% true from his perspective. He was not QB1. He was not the guy, leading his troops, and he was splitting time. And so it's an awkward spot when you're in that situation. Well, now the world knows, right? Like, it's his team and his understanding and his, really trained to go as fast as they wanted to go. And so that's why I think from that aspect, KG, you're going to see growth there. The offensive line is nasty. I have them, number 2 in my top 5. I think that they're going to be just bully ball running the football. You see Waters is kind of, the feature guy, but they have a stable of backs, and the way that they were able to run it last year, my goodness. I mean, they had 5 rushers that were over 450 yards. One of those including Riley Leonard that we discussed. But can they replicate that? I mean, can they continue to ground and pound the football and then pass it complimentary to Jalen Calhoun and of course, Jordan Moore and others that'll step up? So I can't wait to see it. It's going to be really fun to watch it all come together, and we will be there. Game 1, Monday night. I cannot wait to be there in person. It'll be so fun.
That game, I mean, got to be one of the most hyped Duke football games in a while. Yeah, I mean, going back to maybe when they win the division or that kind of thing, I'm thinking maybe that Texas A&M bowl game perhaps. But this is going to be huge. Here's my question for you, Mac, about this offense, because Riley Leonard has proven these wide receivers are great. I think you may even could have multiple 1,000-yard wide receivers. You mentioned that. Is it okay if Riley Leonard is this team's leading rusher again?
Is it okay? Yes. I think he's that good. I think he's one of those guys. Is it
ideal?
For me, no. There you go. I like that. That's what I was going to counter with. It's not ideal. I want him throwing it more. And I know it's a part of his game, and I know it's, taking what the defenses give him, but I just have to think, KG, that this year defenses know that, right? Like, they're going to play him differently because they know that he can run the football so well. So he's going to have more spy. He's going to have more coverage that doesn't quite allow him to just take off and run. And so with that, how much better is the passing game? How much has he grown in that, finding his windows and maybe being a little bit more patient? Because it's hard, right? It's easy to just take off and run and be an athlete. It's hard to sit in there, be patient, and make a really sound decision. So we're going to need to see growth from him in that aspect, just the natural, kind of journey of it. But then, just executing it and not maybe when it's design run calls, how can he extend plays if coverage is not what he really wants to see? Guys get open. So ideally, no. I hope he's throwing the ball. Let's give it to those backs. Let's not take a bunch of hits. Let's protect ourselves and only run when needed. How about that?
Yes, I agree. Now, I think Riley Leonard is that kind of fiery competitor where sometimes he's going to have to be coached to not go try to get that extra yard or two because he has to stay healthy. That is number 1 for Duke. Let's talk about the other side of the ball, Mac. They held teams to 22 points per game last year. They lose a guy like Shaka Hayward, but they bring back a guy like Dwayne Carter. They bring back a lot defensively. And so I think this defense still is going to be very, very good. Top 5 in scoring defense last year in the ACC. Here's my question, Mac. Last year, Duke was plus 16 in the turnover margin. That was very, very, very good. Number 1 in the ACC. That is something that is hard to replicate year in and year out. So, and to do that, you have to be complementary. Your offense has to take care of the ball. Your defense has to force turnovers. That worries me a tad if they're going to be able to do that again. But I still think this defense is going to be very salty.
And that's been the biggest, kind of, I guess, thing that people throw out there, because I think Duke is going to be really good. And are they going to win 9 games again? That's tough. I mean, when you look at the margin of victory, right? I mean, they were 14, 16 points away from being undefeated, right? And playing Georgia in the Natty. Maybe not quite, but that's how close they were. But they also had a lot of close wins as well. And exactly for the
Yeah.
reasons that you just mentioned. The turnover margin was just nuts, and they were able to get their hands on the football. I know that the schedule was more favorable last year than it probably is this year. So there was kind of this perfect storm of, we don't know what we have. Oh my gosh, we're really good. Oh, by the way, we're getting the football a lot. So how can you recreate that defensively? How can you continue to grow and be salty in that regard? And I think that it's year 2 of a system. Like, guys are going to be smarter. Guys are going to be playing better and understanding where they're supposed to be. You lost a couple of great players, as you mentioned, in Hayward and Joyner at the safety position, but you've got guys back and you got in some transfers that you feel good about. I just think that the offense is going to be so complementary. It's going to be a little bit different from last year where the offense helps the defense, right? Like, they've taken pressure off. They're able to move the football. And now can we get, 3/4 of the turnovers that we created last year, and we're still in a really good spot.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Now, you're right with so many close games last year, but I think that helps, Duke, in a sense that last year, in many ways, this group learned to win.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a skill. That is something that you have to develop. And from a team that, could barely win an ACC game to learning to win, you can carry that over with even more confidence and the knowledge that you have in year 2.
100%. And I think that, just the battles that they faced and the adversity that they had to go through, and even in the losses. I mean, you look at that North Carolina game, my goodness. I mean, that should have been a dub. I mean, they won it. They had that walk-off touchdown that was called back because of a phantom-ish, I think it was high-low call, something crazy.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
And so a touchdown taken off the board, and then I believe they missed or got a blocked field goal that either would have tied it or I think tied it. But so they won that game. And then you look at Pittsburgh, I believe that came down to the last play. And then Georgia Tech, my gosh, you're in a situation that's like 20-0. You're fighting for your life, come all the way back and then lose in overtime. So they had a lot of lessons last year as a team on how to win, how to battle in games. And, the games they came up a little short in, I fully expect them to have learned from that and really make a big push here. The good thing is we're going to find out very early who this Duke team is.
True. Yeah, right off the bat. Okay, let's talk about that schedule. The Vegas win total has them at 6.5. And I'm just going to read this schedule because, man, you open with Clemson, Lafayette at home, Northwestern at home. I think Northwestern's in a little bit of shambles right now, as we know. At UConn. Okay, all right. Then Notre Dame at home, NC State at home, at Florida State. That's a heck of a stretch. At Louisville, Wake at home, at North Carolina, at Virginia, Pitt at home. I see 6, to me, guaranteed wins. Lafayette, Northwestern, UConn, Wake, Virginia, and I think they get probably NC State or Pitt at home. I'll give them one of those. So I see 6 there. And that's why Vegas puts it at 6.5, because it's hard, Max. So tell me your thoughts on this schedule, because it's pretty difficult.
It definitely is a difficult schedule, but I think you have to give credit to those guys. And this isn't last year's Duke team. This should be a better Duke team. And so with that, I think you go over there. I really do. I think they're going to have some gritty wins. I think that they have the most important piece of football, a very good quarterback who is elite, with his decision-making, his play, leadership capabilities, who we assume has taken a step. Wide receivers are stacked, running back stacked, really good offensive line. I just have trouble looking at the schedule and thinking that they don't get 6 somehow, some way. And so I have them at 8.5. I have it way higher. And again, maybe that's just the confidence meter. KG loves to remind me that the ACC teams do play each other, and someone has to win and lose. Yes. I keep having 8.5 plus win totals. It's crazy math. But I think they do it. I mean, I really do. I think that there's going to be some trials on this list, but I think they get it done. I feel great about the Blue Devils.
Neither of us majored in math. I think that's very obvious. When you look at the number being 6.5, I am going to take the over because I believe in this program. I believe in Riley Leonard, and I believe in Mike Elko. We haven't really talked about Mike Elko as much, but what he has done to turn this thing around so quickly and really building through the defense as well. It's not just, okay, we're going to go out there and outscore people. That's not really it. The defense is very, very solid. So, like I said, I think I see 6 wins, and then can they get an at UNC or can they get the at Louisville? Those are going to be the ones that this schedule and this win total hinges upon. With this tough schedule, if they can go 7-5, win their bowl game, 8 wins, I think that would be another excellent year for Duke. And then can they go beyond that? I mean, can they really ruffle some feathers, Mac? Because you can look at this schedule as difficult, or as I'm sure they're doing in the Duke locker room, you can look at the schedule as full of opportunities to play yourself into a really, really good bowl game, to play yourself into the ACC championship discussion, perhaps.
Yeah. And I think it's, it's interesting to look at all those reasons again, but I don't know. I feel good about them. I'll see them in person in about a week, so I'm better or worse, and I'll update you accordingly on that. Maybe we make a quick addendum to the podcast. But I just think like you said, there's a lot of opportunity there. The league is now in a position where it's the 2 best teams. And guess what? You play the 2 that are favorited. You play the 2 that, everyone is picking to play in Charlotte and FSU and Clemson. So you control your own destiny. That's what you love. When you have a team like, Louisville, who does not play them, you got to hope that other people beat them. You got to hope that they lose. You can take it all on right now and do that yourself. So that's why Duke has kind of been my dark horse, that I think if someone's going to ruin the party, it could be them. And I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it.
One last thing from me. What's crazy about this, Mac, is if the division still existed, I would have Duke penciled into the ACC title game almost no problem.
Easily, right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it would be between Duke and North Carolina, obviously.
About timing. It's unbelievable. I think I think people would be tough to look past Drake May, who obviously people voted as the preseason player of the year. But you'd have
the game's in Chapel Hill.
Yeah, you'd have a great argument. You really would. Anyway, gosh, this was a fun episode. I've got a lot of aspirations for Duke. We're going to have some fun episodes with Duke coming down the line. That Monday, again, the game falls on Monday night. We're going to have a preview episode of just Clemson and Duke for that game, just because of the way that it falls on the schedule. Hopefully have some cool guests on either side of that matchup. But this was fun, KG. Always good talking about the Blue Devils, a team that I have high expectations for. But that's it from us, guys. Big shout out to our friends over at Ingles for all their support, the things that they're able to do for us. And we need your help. We need you to come over here and watch this party. You go over to YouTube, subscribe, leave some comments. We have a big time over here. It's a lot of fun. And, of course, the OGs over on Apple Podcasts. Rate, review there as well. We would greatly appreciate that. But that's it from us. Until next time, we'll see y'all.